Just when you think Washington can't sink any lower, another political firestorm explodes, this time pulling in shocking allegations.
And now I just want to take a total left turn here and talk about some news from your colleagues today. 2 members of Congress officially resigned. Democrat Congressman from California, Eric Swalwell, he resigned after multiple women accused him of sexual assault and misconduct. And Congressman Tony Gonzalez, he's a Republican from Texas. He resigned after facing accusations of sexual misconduct over an alleged affair with a staff member who died by suicide last year. What are your thoughts on the news?
It's horrific, shocking. The reality is both of them were about to be expelled. I think they knew that. And so, the fact that they resigned, I really wish that the Ethics Committee would have the opportunity to do its job. So we have an Ethics Committee, 5 Dems, 5 Republicans. It's actually the only committee that's structured like that in the House. And we've only expelled 6 members in the history of the House of Representatives. I voted to expel George Santos after an Ethics Committee report was made available. I can tell you right now, on the basis of what I know, I will vote to expel Sheila Cherflos McCormick. The Ethics Committee report already came out on her, and I would have voted to expel Gonzalez and Swalwell, even though there were not Ethics Committee reports readily available. You had Gonzalez admit to a obvious, extraordinarily troubling infraction where there is a red line in Congress, Brittany, for a number of years now that you do not have inappropriate relations with staff, period, full stop. And the fact that he admitted to it was a prima facie, de facto, whatever you want to call it, a clear-cut case that he deserved to be expelled. As for Swalwell, just horrifying, and seeing the news, the second woman publicly coming forward with allegations far worse than just an inappropriate relationship. What I will tell you is that I had never heard any rumor of rape or anything of that nature around Eric Swalwell. You hear rumor and innuendo about many members of Congress, but that's what the Ethics Committee is supposed to be for, Brittany. It's supposed to be when you hear those sorts of things that you can anonymously go to ethics, they can begin an investigation, they can find the facts, and they can ultimately come to a conclusion and release a report, that sort of thing. And I hope in the new Congress, there's obviously other members that are at the stage where their cases are being considered by ethics. I hope that we empower the Ethics Committee to do its job, and I was part of a group of members that wrote both Mike Johnson and Leader Jeffries saying the Ethics Committee needs to speed up its work. I think part of the problem in this new normal that we find ourselves in, where things move so quickly on social media and otherwise in a news cycle, is the Ethics Committee. We want them to be deliberative and do the job well, but we also need them to act with speed and to reach conclusions quickly. Obviously, in the case of Swalwell, we just found out about these atrocious allegations just a handful of days ago, and with the case of Gonzalez, there's been public reporting on it for some time, but it took quite a while for him to admit it. And the case of Cherflos McCormick has more gone through the process as it's supposed to, and the same with Corey Mills. So it's an awful situation, but I think the reputation of the House of Representatives that has already been so badly damaged, Brittany, really hangs in the balance. And I think the members not being able to cast those votes to expel, and those members resigning, that was obviously up to them, as it will be for Cherflos McCormick and maybe for Mills and maybe for others, who knows.
I just want to touch on a point that you made that, and I've been seeing this online and in commentary regarding Swalwell specifically, and I'm just thinking about the bravery of those women coming forward with their stories. He's obviously denied any allegations of sexual assault, but you're seeing people either post it online or say it in commentary that there's been whispers about Eric Swalwell for years. And you see this a lot sometimes when there's other stories of, there's whispers of this person, whispers of that person. When is it a lawmaker's responsibility to go to the House Ethics Committee and say, hey, there's whispers of this person acting inappropriately, there's rumors of that? I mean, when should a lawmaker act?
I think if you had a concrete piece of evidence, certainly, no question. I think if there's an allegation of rape or any belief that there may have been a rape committed or a sexual assault committed, that's a bright line. In the case of Swalwell, you had heard rumors of infidelity, but nothing, I had personally heard nothing about certainly sexual violence or anything of that nature. Just the same, you'd hear things about the way that he was using campaign funds, or you'd hear about his residency, things like that. But at the end of the day, I think you have to have that, and that's the challenge, Brittany. You have to have a fairly bright line case, I think, and I think it's worth the ethics committee reviewing those rules with members. We go through an ethics training when we first get to Congress about the rules, the basic rules. I can tell you one of the first things you learn is completely red line, off limits to have any sort of relationship, inappropriate relationship with a staffer. And so obviously, that's a bright line. Committing any sort of crime, I think, would be a bright line as well. And of course, Swalwell is going to have to now deal with the criminal justice system. He has two people in I believe, two different jurisdictions that have made very serious criminal allegations. I'm sure those cases are going to need to be adjudicated. And I think it's a relief that those cases will be adjudicated by someone who's no longer anywhere near the Congress, and God forbid, nowhere anywhere near the governor's mansion in California.
What makes this clip so intense isn't just the allegations being mentioned, it's the way everything is framed as already decided before any real legal or institutional conclusion is shown. That kind of certainty in political commentary can be powerful, but it also blurs the line between accusation, investigation, and guilt. The speaker leans heavily on the idea of bright lines in ethics. Rules that are supposed to be clear and non-negotiable, especially around staff relationships and potential criminal conduct. On paper, that sounds straightforward. In practice, Congress often operates in a far messier space, where ethics investigations move slowly, evidence can be incomplete, and public opinion often races ahead of formal findings. There's also a deeper tension underneath the reaction. The ethics system is being portrayed as both necessary and insufficient at the same time. Necessary, because it's meant to protect institutional integrity. Insufficient, because by the time it acts, reputational damage is already done and political pressure has already escalated things toward resignation or removal. The mention of whispers is where things get especially complicated. In political environments, rumors often circulate long before anything becomes formal or provable. The danger is that whispers can sometimes be mistaken for evidence, especially in highly charged media cycles. That's why ethics processes are supposed to rely on documentation, testimony, and verification, not public sentiment or viral claims. At the same time, the emotional tone in the reaction. Words like horrific and shocking reflects a real frustration many lawmakers express about accountability. When serious allegations surface, there's pressure to act quickly, but acting quickly doesn't always mean acting accurately. That tension sits at the center of modern political scandals, speed versus certainty. In the end, what this moment highlights isn't just one controversy or one individual, it's the broader instability in how political accountability is now shaped. Ethics committees, media cycles, and public outrage are all moving at different speeds. And when they collide, the result is often confusion, resignation, and unanswered questions left in the aftermath.